Hello everyone, and welcome back to Craig versus C4. Today I will be starting my phase 2 journey, and I want to tell you folks that I loved all the great comments from my first series, and I'm very happy to continue to work through my rebuild using C4. And I know I've been absent for a little bit. I've had some body issues to deal with, and hopefully that's all past me by now. It's great to be back. I'm glad to be back here on film working with y'all. And today what I'm going to do is I'm not going to film the entire session because this is my first foray back, and I need to take it a little bit easy, but I want to make sure that I'm getting off on the right foot, so to speak. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a series of let goes, or a series of letting my trail hand come off the club to get my release going, to kind of get my feels back. And then I'm going to do a set of leaving my trail hand on, and then I'm going to go take a look at it. I need to make sure, especially right now, that I'm firing on all cylinders. We're starting to add the release. You know, the distance is going to start to pick up, the speed's going to start to pick up, and I want to make sure I have everything buttoned up, not only just from a physical standpoint, but now that things are starting to move just a little bit faster, and I'm starting to allow for Newton to help us square up that club face, I want to make sure I have all my ducks in a row. And as you well know at home, I need the feedback. So we're going to do a couple sets here. I'm going to do a couple releasing my trail hand. I'm going to do a couple leaving my trail hand on. And then I'm going to go take a look at my notes, see what it looks like, look at it on video, observe, see where I need to improve. And then I'm going to share that with you, what I think of my first overall session back. So I want to thank you all for watching the first phase. Welcome to phase 2. It's great to be back. I know my setting's a little bit different right now. It's going to probably continue to change for a little bit, but I think I've got all my camera angles in order so that I can fit all that good info in. So without further ado, I'm going to start my phase 2 journey. And I hope everybody's doing well. I hope phase 1 went by pretty easily for everybody. As you know, with this next phase, none of the checkpoints change, okay? Everything that you did in phase 1 needs to be there. The only thing that you're adding or allowing to happen is the release of the club. Now, for me, I think this is a little bit easier because when you start honing in that impact and you start holding that, yes, you need that to understand what it feels like to have a flat lead wrist, bowed, squared club face, hit that kind of lower trajectory shot. But now it just kind of feels like it's just more of an evolution. Allowing this club face to rotate, allowing it to do what it wants to do. And don't let anybody tell you, the club face is designed to rotate, and it is always rotating. Don't let anybody tell you to the contrary. But now it kind of feels a little bit more natural. It's kind of the crescendo. It's going to happen on its own as long as I get out of the way. So let's get some work in. And I'm glad to be back. I had some physical ailments to deal with, and hopefully they're all past me by now. And that's also the reason that as I work through this phase today, I've got to take it a little bit easy. I can't plow through 200, 250 balls and see how it goes. I'm going to kind of ease my way back in this journey, and it may be the same thing you're doing at home. You may have gone through phase 1 and been like, hey, you know what, that was pretty easy, I did that. But as you started to add release, you're like, hey, you know, some older ailments are kind of sneaking up, so you may have had to slow down a little bit. Just the boat that I was in. So my goal is to get back my phase 1, where we're just kind of working on this little 9 o'clock swing, and I'm going to focus on making sure that I let go with my trail hand. And when I start to look at my checkpoints, I've posted up, I've cleared my hips, my right foot, chest square, head down, everything's still the same, but that this club is at least toe up or a little bit toe down. And I'm going to look to make sure that my wrist is flat or bowed. If you have an overly strong grip, you may still see, you know, a few degrees of cupping in it, but I'm really looking to make sure that this club face rotates over, which you'll probably see actually better down the line. So let's get going here. Nice, beautiful, warm day. All right. That was pretty solid. Had a little bit of a push on it though. That was pretty solid though. Foot's doing good, hips doing well, it looks like. Maybe slightly out of head. But I did release the club. That's the one thing that I'm really going to pay attention to today. Am I starting to give up a little bit to the golf gods? They're going to be much better at squaring this club up than I ever will. So for me, can't really count that one. The strike was solid, and it had just a tiny touch of a draw to it, but the dispersion was off. You know, as we're looking on this one, and we're kind of looking for that 5-yard right or left dispersion. That was just a little bit too much to the right. There we go. That's the one that I'm looking for. There we go. Nice and released. A lot of good stuff here. Okay, so I got one in. I at least know I can leave the range today. I got one rep right. It's funny because my first session, you know, my big fear was, you know, I'd swung a club in a long time and obviously a different human than I was last year. But now that I'm getting back into this and adding release into it, I'm thinking about what I've just been through in the last 4 weeks. Oh, it never ends. As I mentioned before, don't get old. There we go. That was nice and solid. I like the release on that one better. To me, it felt like much more of a passive release. And what I mean about passive, that doesn't mean that I was just completely dead on it. Like I got down here and I just completely just let go of it. There's still some muscle engagement. There's still some tension, some awareness. Tension's gonna gradually increase throughout the swing. Literally nothing I can do about that. But that one to me had a little bit more of this pendulum feel effect to it. I cleared my hips and this club had enough tension in my last 3 lead fingers at the club, just kind of had no choice. Said, hey, you know what? It's time for me to square up and I'm gonna go ahead and do it for you. It's kind of what I'm looking for. A little takeaway in here. Nothing changes. Still not striving for that perfect takeaway yet. I'm going to start to pay a little bit more attention to it. Still trying to hone in that impact. Just stacking one component. All right. Not too shabby, not too shabby. I think we're going to put that one in the books. I like that one. I'll show you one little trick that always helps me, especially when I start working on these kind of release components or even students in general. It's kind of how I look at the shot and how, you know, I follow it after the strike. Because I'm trying to make the impact, I'm trying to allow for the release and know where it goes, but I want to look at it in a certain way that I don't start ingraining any bad habits like any eye chasing or chasing with the spine angle or trail shoulder. There we go. Now I want you to look at this position right here. I can take that one. I want you to look at this position right here. I've got my hips open. Might be slightly out of head. Doesn't look like it. Might be though. So I'll have to look at that on film later. The club's released, my foot's rolled in, head's down. But I want you to also take notice how I look at my shots. Because after I do this, I don't go here and I'm like, hey, you know, wave at it, see what's going on. I stay in my position right here, and then I just kind of rotate my head down the line. I don't kind of pick it up and kink my neck or change a whole bunch of positions, because at the end of the day, what's going to end up happening when I start leaving my trail hand on the club, I start releasing it, my shoulders are going to have to start to open a little bit more because my trail hand's on the club. And I want to make sure I'm not driving or chasing hard with my trail side or doing what I call peekaboo eyes and looking down the fairway and seeing what's going on. I want to follow it kind of like I would in a normal golf shot, where I'm in position right here. I'm like, okay, right there, maintaining still a nice and balanced position. And since the chest is pretty much square right now, I don't have to worry about being in too much of a crazy side bend position. So just a little rotation of the head's kind of all I need to take a look at it. We're gonna get to here, let it go, and go from there. Ah, what did I do there? I know what I did there. You could hear that fat. I got a little bit quick with it. I didn't let the swing develop. I got there in the transition. I started pushing just a little bit with my trail side, but I got a little bit rushed. So kind of steepened the angle. That leading edge dug a little bit early. I tried to save it. Just didn't quite work out. Not too bad though. So on this one, really make sure. Good legs, not too much trail side involvement. And allow that face to rotate, because rotation is going to inherently shallow out that plane and path for me. Oh, that was just a little bit off the bottom of the club. Boy, that felt pretty good too. A little bit thin, a little bit off the bottom. I'm more than likely, I got down here, had a little bit of trying to help it out with the lead arm and shoulder, trying to help out that release a little bit more than I want. Let's get back down to brass tacks. Get a couple good practice swings in. It's a nice little rehearsal right here. Very warm day today. Breaking a little bit more of a sweat. It's okay for a Georgia boy. There we go. There we go. That one I really liked. You could hear the difference in the sound of it. Flight, everything to it. Exactly what I'm looking for. That's what I want to bottle up. And some players, me including, when I warm up a lot, I'll typically hit a lot of left arm onlys just to get my release going, kind of get some tension out. But this kind of intermediate step, some players struggle with. They're like, Craig, I can do lead arm only like this, and I can do both hands on the club, but this kind of fingertip inversion, this kind of letting go is really tough. I agree. I actually think it's the tougher of the three, so to speak. But it really helps you start to turn off that too much trail side engagement. But it really helps you with that lead arm trust. That you don't have to force and drive and work so hard with your trail side to get the ball out there. I think I took it off before I even transitioned, and I noticed that. All right, got a little spread fire on this now. Let's get it back on track. That leads me to my point with that. I think people get so consumed with trying to let it go at the right time, or making sure they don't grasp with it, or the timing of letting it go, that they kind of miss the force of the trees on it. If it lets go just a tiny bit later, lets go a tiny bit early, who cares? It's the fact that it's letting go and not overly controlling things. Still move your body, still have your lead arm doing what it needs to do. There we go. Forget about it, let the club release. Much better, much better. You can see right here, my club face, it's a little bit towed down right there. No problem with that. Zero issue with having it a little bit towed down right there. I want you to err on that side. The last thing I want is you getting here and hitting big old slices, you know, where you can hold that glass of wine out here on the end of your club face. For me, it'd probably be a scotch, but I think you get the picture. Just a touch thin. See that right there? So I think I had a little bit more slide in there. See that? There we go. You get that hip back. As I mentioned, you know, I've had a little bit of a layoff and things are still a little bit tight. So I'm still having to work through some things. But that one right there, that one to me created that little bit of slide. And you know, when you start to slide and you start to kind of drag that club face, and this hip starts to get outside neutral, it can start to change your axis tilt, and you can start to get a lot of the secondary tilt where you start to get this shoulder high and you kind of get this draggy lift feeling, versus when you work through here and you just get that hip back and the hips moving up and back to get this club to go down and out. It's much easier to keep this chest over the ball and let this arm swing like a pendulum. It doesn't change that fulcrum position so much. You heard me a lot on phase one talk about my fulcrum position. That's all that happened there. So we're gonna get here. There we go. There we go. Got good leg work. Let's see what we got. Hopefully this is on camera. Move that back a little bit. Right on my line, a little bit of a draw. Looks like my hip was better. Sounded a touch thin. Contact was pretty good though. I think that was a little bit more the mat. All right. Oh, let's see. Not too bad. Not too bad. I got some big notes to take on that. Because when I go through these videos, for me, I'll kind of go through almost every single swing. It'll take a little bit of time. You don't have to be that precise with it. But since I don't have my feedback here, since I don't have a mirror or, you know, another camera running, you know, with me sitting here talking to myself, and you can kind of use this at home, when I'm taking notes, I'm literally taking notes right here. So I can go back and look at a swing and be like, hey, how was that strike on that one? Did I say like, oh, that was a good strike? Did I say it was a bad strike? What did I think happened on it? Did I think that I made a good move and it felt good, and I look at it on video and it's like, no, that actually wasn't really a good move. So even just, if you go out and just film your sessions like I do, like this, or leave your commentary, you'll sometimes pick up, you'll be like, I thought that was a bad one, but I actually looked at my mechanics and it was pretty good, or vice versa. Make sure, all right, still running over here. So let's see. Let's do a set of leaving the trail hand on, and then we'll throw in it down the line, and we'll go home and we'll talk about it a little bit. So I kind of feel a little bit. It's going to be interesting when I go to the tape. Probably could fix it right now, but I think we're going to see that my arms are lagging a little bit behind my turn. That's why I feel I have the need to catch up on it. I think they are. We'll see what happens though. All right. So we got a couple let goes. We're going to challenge getting that right hand on. Well, shot was okay. Yardage was good. Hip was good. Club was released. I felt a little quick with my hands. I think I cheated on that one a little bit. The shot was good. The location, the flight. Felt a little quick with my hands though. I don't know if that's just because I left the trail hand on there for the first time, or if they're a little bit quick. I think I got a little handsy on that. Remember, I'm not trying to get down here and force this to square up. I'm trying to allow it to square up. If I sequence correctly, if I get my weight, my post, quiet chest, I don't put a death grip on it or try to steer the club face, it's going to do it for me. Spider. And then weight and rotation. You get down here. Let that club release, Greg. I'm going to use this as a testing ground. We'll go back and perfect it. Let's just start getting it going. Well, flight was good. Hips look okay. Trail foot looks okay. Club was released. A little thin though. Just a little thin. I think that's quick hands. I think that's only quick hands. Don't quite trust it. And that's, a second ago I mentioned how I thought that my arms were lagging a little bit behind my turn. And now I'm really starting to come to that conclusion. My hands are feeling really quick, like trying to manipulate and make the club face square. And I think a lot of that's because they're a little bit behind my turn. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. So if I go to here in my takeaway, start to come down, that should be nice and passive. Don't lose those other good checkpoints. That went pretty straight. All right. I think we can go with that one. I'm okay with that one. I want to smooth it out though. I want to smooth it out. Getting good distance. I want to tone it down just a tiny bit. Just a little slower. Like that. That was better. That was better. Much more compression on that. And oddly enough, it went the exact same yardage as the one prior to it did, with, for me, feeling half as much effort. That shows me just rushing a little bit. Yeah, it still gives me a little smile or a little giggle. Comment on one of Chuck's swings. He's swinging up in, I think it's like 120 or 122, and one of the comments mentions how he looks like he's putting kind of like LPGA effort into it. And how that's a compliment, and it is, because they make it look so silky smooth and hit it so far, and it's a compliment to have. Not a whole lot of effort, and to hit it really far. I got to keep that in there. Keep it effortless. Not worried about speed yet. That distance will be there if you hit your checkpoints. Oh, that was good. That was good. I'll bottle that one up. Doesn't mean I'm not going to have things to work on. That had a good release to it. I was very pleased with that one. Had that nice sound, had that nice trajectory on it. Might do a practice swing or two letting go, just to make sure, staying tension free, not driving with that right arm, right side. Tell you what, couldn't have been too shabby either. That almost didn't make a sound. That was like one of those, you know, when you're shooting free throws and kind of get that swish and you're like, I know the ball just went in, but I didn't hear the net. I'll take that one. All right, got a little groove going right here. Finish up a couple more. Then we'll get down the line and see what we got from over there and go home and look at the disaster. Maybe buy a pair of shorts. Would have worn shorts today, but the sheen off my legs would have probably blinded the camera. If there was a hole, that would have been in it. I'll take that one. I just got a gut feeling though. With what I'm feeling, I got a gut feeling that my hands are going to be a little bit faster than I think they are. And I'm just getting just a little bit ahead of it and playing catch up versus getting here, letting them, you know, really work down in front. We'll see. Could, like I said, we got to look at that feedback. A little thin, but boy, that was on my line. Still a helicopter. Had all sorts of stuff going on. All right. Let's get one more in from here and we'll get some down the line in. Can't do too much today. I can already feel some tightening. Let me just ease my way back into this. That one had to be good. The lower half felt a little bit more in sync on that. I was thinking just take my time a little bit more. Keep them a little bit soft. And that transition right there, take my time. Don't, I know I'm trying to get that hip open, but don't rush to it. Don't rush to it. Give yourself a second. You're gonna get there. An argument I have with my students all the time about coming down from the top. Gravity's gonna win this argument. Like whether you force it or not, that club's going to come down at some point. You don't have to make that thing come down as much as you think you do. It's going to get down there whether you like it or not. Let's get a little down the line set in here. Got a lot of golf balls in that bucket right there. I don't think I'm making it to that today. I think I'm going to have a lot more practice swings than ball hits. Don't mind me, I'm going to change up gloves here. That's one thing too. For those of you out there that might sweat a lot, or start to get a big death grip, one thing, if I am sweating a lot, yeah, I'll change, my golf glove often, because you won't know it, but you'll start actually gripping it tighter, not realizing you're gripping it tighter because your brain's sensing the fact that you might lose the golf club. And a proper release, you're typically going to feel like you lose the golf club. So when you combine those two, your brain's going to start to kind of tense up your hands a little bit to make sure that thing doesn't go flying down the fairway. All right, so takeaway. See what we can do from here. Don't really care about it yet, but it's in my brain. Got a little quick. So you can probably tell by the flight of the ball on that camera, barely had any turn on it. Still relatively went right down the line. But you could probably hear that was a little bit thin. I felt I just helped it out just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just got a little quick with it. A little quick with it. Let the sequence work for me. There we go. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Nice and solid. That's what I'm looking for. No need to rush. I don't need to hit these 180 yards. Not saying I can't. Just saying I don't need to. And as a side note, the only thing going 180 yards these days is me in a golf cart. Not any of my swings. Felt a little quick with the hands. Flight was right. Had a little 1 to 2 yard cut on it. A little thin. I think just got a little quick with that still. I got one where I was really quick, one where I stayed in motion. Nice solid one. A little quick with that one. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Straight, fell a little bit to the left, had the compression. That's what we're looking for. And you'll probably notice when you look at my follow through on these, you'll see kind of where my arm and club is, that it's this toe up or a little bit toe down. I don't want to see this. All right, that is completely the antithesis of what we're looking for. I think that went down my line pretty well. A little quick though. That was good. My checkpoints looked good. Shot felt good. I don't want to hit that far yet though. I had a little steam on it. I'm going to dial this back down a little bit. Nice and relaxed. You look like you're doing nothing at all right now. What do you know? I dial it down, I relax. Probably the best one of the day for me. Isn't it crazy how in life and everything, we just overcomplicate things? I know I do every single day of the week. I've done it in this session right now. But on that one, I thought to myself, I said, it's this journey, it's not this race. Take your time. You're just getting back into it today. Not trying to be John Daly yet. Just hone in on your fundamentals. So we're really trying to have nice, clean checkpoints from belt high to belt high. Because at the end of the day, that's what's really going to take me home. There we go. And see, that was okay. Probably on camera, it looked like a tiny bit of a push. That's within my window, though. That was a nice release. Looked like it started about 2 yards offline, but just kind of hung there right there. It's okay for that distance, this type of shot. Okay with that. That's still on the green. It's still putting. Got a little quick. I'm gonna blame body on that one. That's gonna be an X on the card. A little twinge in the hip on that one. Loosen up a little bit. There we go. There we go. I'll take that one. Checkpoints are good, just a little thin though. Looked like a little bit of push, a little bit off my target, a little thin. That'd be a good miss in real life, but I think we're gonna have to throw that one out. So close though, so close. With that being said, what I'm gonna do, I'm definitely not gonna hit the rest of those. I'm probably gonna do about 1 or 2 more sets, and I'm really gonna hone in on some of the feelings that I have right now. I don't wanna overblow myself, or I don't wanna blow myself out today. Getting back in the saddle. And I wanna make sure that these mechanics are correct. So I'm gonna do about 1 or 2 more sets at most. And then I'm gonna get home, I'm gonna take some look at some video, see what was good, what was bad. We'll talk about it, and what I need to go from, or where I need to go from here to improve today's motion. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you sticking with me, hanging around for the month, waiting for some more content. Should be rolling out here soon, and I will see you on the range next time.